Hey, I want to talk about The Force Awakens.
Traitor!
Yep, I literally just heard that one person scream, "Fuck this movie," and punch a hole in their monitor. That's the kind of reaction that this movie often gets, but I'm not here to talk about public perception. That's right, whether you think this is a New Hope nostalgia retread, a Disneyfied cash grab, or a worthless piece of trash, just push all of that to the side for a few minutes so I can talk to you about the one part of this movie that is undeniably brilliant. The kinetic energy. If there's one area The Force Awakens should be unanimously praised for, it's the way director J.J. Abrams keeps this thing moving.
Look at him go! Yeah!
Honestly, I think this movie should require wearing a seatbelt while watching it, because it goes from 0 to 100 in the time between the first and second shots, and then doesn't ever slow down after that. So the question is, how does J.J. Abrams maintain that kind of momentum? Let's watch a quick sequence and see if we can work it out. Did you see it? Watch this part again. If you still have no idea what I'm on about, that's okay, because you're not meant to notice. Not consciously anyway. You're kind of just supposed to be swept up by it. What Abrams is doing here is transferring energy from beat to beat in a fast and fluid way, linking each one of them together rather than making them occur independently. What's a beat? A beat is like an individual moment, usually a new idea or piece of information. Scenes are formed by stringing beats together through a linear progression that allows the audience to process each new piece of information as it's presented through the association with what came before. Look at some of the beats in this segment alone. TIE fighters fire at the castle begins to collapse, Kylo's ship arrives and Rey sees it, Rey hears the stormtroopers nearby and turns to defend herself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now to show what Abrams is doing here, let's consider the sequence as a sprinting relay in which the runners are those beats, the baton is the camera, and of course the camera is our perspective as the viewer. The starting gun fires and the first runner takes off. As they reach the second runner, the baton is passed between them at full speed, and so on, and so on, and so on. Abrams is maintaining the visual momentum of his film by handing off each story beat to the next in a fluid motion by connecting each beat with camera movement. He's not cutting to each new moment individually, but rather flowing between them so that the kinetic energy of the scene never drops. Sure, in this sequence alone there's still a handful of cuts, but each new shot strategically catches the motion set by its predecessor and transfers it into the next motion. If the film is just cutting to each new piece of information without that kind of flow, the beats could start to feel disconnected and the sequence could come off feeling static and uninvolving. But how does Abrams make it flow? With camera movement, there's 6 types of motion: pan, tilt, zoom, focus, track, and boom. Abrams uses all of these plus the motions created by combining them to essentially form multiple compositions within a single shot. Take a look at one of my favourite shots from The Force Awakens and just watch how many compositions Abrams moves through without a single cut.
They've taken out our turbo lasers.
Use the ventral cannons.
Yes, sir. Bringing them online.
General Hux, is it the Resistance pilot?
Yes, and he had help from one of our own. We're checking the registers now to identify which stormtrooper it was.
The one from the village. FM 2187.
There's 5 distinct compositions here that come from 6 motions, each connected by a flowing camera that doesn't stop moving. Pan and tilt, track, pan and push in, boom up and pan, pull out and rack focus, and then push back in. I mean, just imagine for a second the fluidity that would be lost if each of those beats was in its own individual shot. You want to know what that looks like?
Have you ever encountered a Jedi Knight before, sir?
Well, no, but I don't. Seal off the bridge!
Yes, sir.
That won't be enough, sir.
I want droidekas up here at once!
We will not survive this.
That's a very similar scene intensity-wise, but it's just kind of bleh. Look at how static and disconnected it all is. There isn't any flow. There isn't any energy. Now, of course, not every scene in The Force Awakens can flow to that degree. While most of the character work and plot progression is built into the action, it still has its fair share of lower tempo sequences. To keep the momentum going even when the pace of the story decreases, Abrams employs an alternate camera technique to maintain the flow. In the previous scene, each camera move is motivated by the physical movement of the characters. This is what we call motivated camera movement. But if the subject of a shot isn't providing as much physical movement to motivate the camera on, Abrams instead hones in on the emotional intensity with an unmotivated move. He starts in a wide or a mid and allows the display of feelings such as fear and awe to pull us towards the characters as we cut between them. And that there is why Abrams is working this way. He wants to pull us into this story. He wants to get us caught up in the visual velocity of it. He wants us to be immersed and involved and excited by this movie. He continuously finds creative ways to keep the energy of The Force Awakens flowing from moment to moment through adhering each one of those moments to a strategic camera movement or edit to result in sequences like this.
Quick!
The Force Awakens certainly isn't the only blockbuster out there that does this, but it's one of the rare ones, and I think it needs to be celebrated and respected in this area of its construction. I guess all I'm saying is, next time you watch The Force Awakens, just keep an eye out for these kind of visual techniques. Watch for the consistently creative uses of visual direction, cinematography, and editing, and maybe you'll find an angle from which you can love The Force Awakens just a little bit more. Alright guys, thank you so much for checking out my first video essay of 2018. In 2018 I want to be doing one of these at least every fortnight. The only way I see myself getting better at it is doing it consistently. That way I can also overcome my inherent desire to just procrastinate. The Force Awakens was definitely a topic I was always going to talk about. I just so happened to be inspired after watching The Last Jedi. With The Last Jedi I will be doing kind of an expansive video essay on it, I hope, once the Blu-ray is out, because I just have so many ideas about that movie inside my head. You can also support us on Patreon. I pretty much work on this channel as a full-time thing now, so that kind of support is so incredibly appreciated. We have exclusive rewards such as finding out what the next video essay is in advance. You'll know what it is early. We also have day early access to the video essays as they're posted before they go live on YouTube. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments. I'd love any form of feedback. I'd love to know whether you're actually enjoying these videos or not. I'd also love to hear what your favorite Star Wars film is and why. That's all from me for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video in 2 weeks.